I do not care if they're unrelated to the Spirit Bombs. We need these guys as EZAs during the 8th anniversary. Both LR Vegito Blue and STR Gogeta Blue. Today I'm going to be talking about the potential for them to get an EZA during the 8th anniversary, along with some concepts I made. So let's just hop right into it, man. I mean, come on. These guys should likely EZA during the anniversary, right? If we take a look here, I guess I should probably bring up the previous campaign. My apologies, I should have done that previously. But if we take a look here during the 7th year anniversary, both the, I believe it was in part 3 actually, we had both the 3-year anniversary LRs, both of them EZA'd. And then during the EX part of the anniversary, we also had the LR Super Saiyan 4's EZA. So both the 3-year anniversary units and the 4th year anniversary units EZA'd. Now, if we're taking a look at, Dokkan Festival LR units that, have released since then, it would be essentially Gohan and Goten did come out after them, I believe during the 2019, right before the Blue Fusions did release. And then we also had Gohan and Cell, I believe in 2019, which both of them already had gotten their EZAs, right? If we take a look here, just to kind of pull this up, it's not the global version yet, unfortunately, I'm not sure why. But we see that these guys also have gotten their EZAs. So really, if they want to awaken like an extremely hype Dokkan Festival LR during the anniversary, which I feel like would be a prime time to do it. I mean, I would guess this Gohan and Goten LR, they're probably likely to do so as well because they're on the new Power of Wishes category. But let's be real, guys. The Blue Fusions, this is what we want. This is what we want. Like, I don't care. Maybe they EZA that Gohan and Goten for the 3rd part, and then these guys get their EZAs for the 4th part. I'm pretty confident that they're just gonna squeeze them in there. It doesn't really matter, right? The theme, they could just be like, you know what, screw the theme. We want the Blue Fusions here. And I think most people would be very receptive and very excited for it. It's just a prime time opportunity. So I have my fingers crossed that these guys are still going to EZA. Now, there's definitely a lot of changes these guys do need in order to become actually relevant in the game again, right? So I did construct concepts for them. Both of them are named Tech Vegito EZA concept, and this one is the same thing, but it's Gogeta Blue. Actually, didn't scroll down, but let's talk about it here. So this unit base form, I think, needs the most kind of revamp to it. So I did add a couple of things to their base form. Well, first off, I did make the leader skill 180% to Final Trump Card or Tara. So I think these two teams could definitely use a new leader. Because of the new category, I'm not sure if the new LRs will lead this team, but I mean, if the Blue Fusions lead this for 180%, I think it could definitely be helpful. Tara, not really the greatest team right now, but 180%, another one lead for this team like the Vegito. I think that could be pretty helpful there. So, 12 key super attack and 18 key super attack. On his 12 key, I made him raise attack and defense now, and then lowers attack, right? So what happened there is added the extra defensive stacking, which we can see is not present currently. He only has a 30% stack of attack, and then just a debuff, just could be useful for like super battle and stuff. Then his 18 key super attack, I gave him greatly raised his attack and defense. So that is a 50% stack, which a 50% stack of attack and defense going into Vegito Blue, potentially for 2 turns, right? He transforms in the 4th turn. So if you get him on turn 1, then you could potentially get 2 50% stacks with this Vegito Blue. And in that situation, things could get really crazy. Or maybe you just want to transform instantly, right? So looking at, what he has now in my personal, kit for him. I gave him key 3 and then 120% attack and defense. So that just used to be 70% attack and defense. Key 3, then he does an additional attack that has now a high chance to become a super attack. If you take a look previously, he does only have a medium chance of doing a super attack there. High chance of evading attack as the 3rd attacker in a turn, so it includes super attack. I actually did keep that the same. But then, I removed the actual 3rd attacker in the turn restriction. And there's another 20% chance to evade enemy attacks as the 3rd attacker in the turn. So essentially, he has a 70% chance as a floater. So in the situation where, this base form even maybe gets a little aged out, or maybe he's not even good right now, well, I'd say he'd be good Because he also, actually, yeah, one thing I forgot to know. 70% attack and defense when performing a super attack. He gets that buff plus the stacking. The triple multiplicative buffs would be pretty insane. So because of that, kind of are fine with like floating this guy off. Even in the future, right? Having the 70% chance to dodge as a third attacker would be very helpful. With the stacking, and then you come back and turn into Vegito Blue. Now, I feel like this transformation condition is fine. There doesn't really need to be any change for it. Very easily get the transformation condition off. Now, when you fuse with this guy, he becomes a pretty big monster. I feel like a lot of people will like kind of this unit's design here. So on his 12 key super attack, I actually made him still stack, right? And in his pre-fusion, he just raised attacking defense for the turn. I can't even speak apparently, I'm sorry. But, yeah, that's the thing, right? I let him keep the attack lowering as well, so I just kind of kept the same super attack effect as there. He does get an additional guaranteed super pre-EZA, so obviously he would keep that, and with them stacking every turn, that could be really powerful. I did change the 18 key to being just a 1-turn 50% raise. He used to have just a 1-turn 30% raise. I feel like making him keep greatly stacking would be too much, obviously. So I just made this a 1-turn raise, which would still be very, very helpful in a lot of difficult content. So now he gets key 3 and 150% attacking defense. And I added an additional part of his passive here, plus an additional 50% attacking defense, and then guards all attacks for 4 turns. So this is obviously from his first appearance, whether he, transforms at turn 5, 6, 4, whatever, right? So this would be obviously very, very good and helpful for him because he's a build-up unit. He does his additional guaranteed super attack. He gets key +1 up to 7, and then attack and defense +11% up to 77% with each attack performed, as long as he's the first or second attacker in the turn. Now to recap exactly what I changed, obviously I gave him key starter turn. I made this 77% buff 150%, which is quite a huge jump. I kept this multiplicative buff the same, but I made the increase higher. So what happened is he gets 7% attacking defense with each attack before, he has EZA, which is 11 attacks he has to do. But now since I made it 11%, it only has to be 7 attacks, which is definitely a lot more reasonable. I moved this key 2 just to be key in any single slot, even though he builds up keys still right here in the first attacker, right? Getting this key 2 just, even if he's in the third slot, I think could be helpful. I actually made it key 3 technically, but you guys get the point, right? So he still does do the same thing as he would in the third slot. Guaranteed additional super attack, high chance to evade enemy attacks as a third attacker. But he now guards all attacks for the rest of battle after he receives 7 or more attacks during battle. So that is a concept actually I took from, I should probably bring this unit up if I open a Fierce Battle. This is from the Exchange Goku Gohan unit, if you guys are aware, right? So that unit, he actually has 3 turns guard. But then once guard is activated for the 6th time in battle, he guards all attacks starting from that turn. So that's kind of how it is. I guess I could have worded it like more closer to the actual wording on the Goku Gohan, but not a big deal there. So essentially with the guard for the 4 turns, you're basically going to be able to keep the guard for the rest of the battle, which will be pretty helpful, right? Especially with this guy as a slot 1 unit. I feel like he'll be a very good slot 1 unit with the guard because he would, again, stacked pre-fusion. Especially once he gets some of this built up, he'll be very good. And again, I give him this extra buff just so that he is able to hold himself before then, right? We have the Gogeta OST, I'll get to him in a bit, right? But obviously the active skill conditions can be activated in phase 1 enemy. HP is 50% or less starting for the next attacking turn. The conditions are the same, but I changed the effects. It's basically the same thing, but I made him do critical hits guaranteed during the turn. Right, a lot of units do get that now, right? Obviously, as you can see, he does not do critical hits. So, with the critical hits there and the changes I made to this kit, I think this guy is pretty powerful. I would say easily top 5 unit in the game once he's actually transformed into Vegito Blue. Let me know what you guys think of his kit specifically, and honestly, just hop right into Gogeta Blue. So, Gogeta Blue is actually, of course, very, very similar to what I had for Vegito Blue, before there's actually the transformation, right? It's pretty much the exact same kit, right? And the raises attacking defense, lowers attack right there. Actually, I literally copy pasted it, so that's why you see Patara. But it's actually fusion, obviously. I mean, the fusion team is probably in a better state than the Patara team right now, because we have this Gogeta Blue EZA. LR Super Saiyan 4s are still really good. The Year 7s are still really good. You know, Tech Gogeta, I feel like he's usable. So this team could actually be a viable team. And, you know, this Gogeta Blue could be a really good leader for that team as well. Again, there's not really much changes between Vegito and Gogeta in terms of their base form. They're also literally the exact same before they fuse, except for links and stuff like that. The change is when they actually transform, right? I said fuse, but transformation, right? So Blue Gogeta is obviously more of an offensive unit. That's kind of like, obviously, I gave Vegito the guard because he was more of like, he was a better defensive unit when like they initially came out because he had the double super and everything, giving him the extra defense. While Gogeta Blue was more offensive because of his super effective against all types. I feel like he hit higher attack stats as well. I mean, if we take a look at their stats, right, I think their Gogeta Blue's attack is slightly higher, whilst Vegito's defense is slightly higher, right? So you can tell the difference there, right? And I think Gogeta Blue had better attack links overall because Warrior Gods, but that's pretty much it there. So if we take a look at Gogeta Blue and what he's doing when he actually fuses, that's when things get really different. So again, keep in mind he's getting the stacks from pre-transformation right there. So I mean, his super attack effects are also the same. I made him stack in his 12 key, greatly raise attack Nevis with the turn, causing mega colossal damage in the 18 key. The debuff could be helpful. And like, let's say, forgot the mode, burst mode, right? That could be really helpful there. Key 3 and 150% attacking defense. He gets 150, not 150%, 50% attacking defense, and then launches a guaranteed super attack for 4 turns. So compared to Vegito, instead of getting the guard, he gets the guaranteed additional super attack. Again, if you guys couldn't tell, my idea is Vegito slot 1, Gogeta slot 2, and in that situation, you'll have Gogeta finishing off the enemy with his offensive power, whilst Vegito can still do damage, but be a lot better defensively. Key 5 launches a guaranteed additional attack, plus an additional attacking defense 11%, up to 77% with each attack performed. And of course, attacks are effective against all types as the first or second attacker in the turn. This is actually, again, pretty much the same, except I changed the 7% to 11, so it's a much faster build-up. He just has to do those 7 attacks total to be fully built up there. Launches an additional super attack, and then he has a great chance actually to have enemy attacks as the third attacker in the turn. I feel like giving him the great chance as a third attacker would be more helpful in terms of their aging. Vegito, even though he only has the high chance to evade, he still has the guard, and he can still activate the guard for the rest of the battle, whereas Gogeta doesn't really have that defensive tech. So in terms of like the units aging, like say Gogeta Blue's like going to be very old, and eventually you may have to put him in slot 3 for certain situations, right? At the bare minimum, you'll have the great chance to evade enemy attacks, which could be again extremely helpful. Now, what I did consider doing is I did consider adding an extra 30% like here. So what happens is for the first 4 turns as a third attacker, he guaranteed dodges. That could be interesting. Let me know if you guys think I should have added that, actually. I think it could have been a quite interesting thing, but maybe a little too OP, right? Guaranteed dodge is pretty nasty, right? But I did give him this instead, obviously. So foresees enemy super attacks starting for the next turn in which the character performs 5 or more attacks during battle. So that's another reason why I gave him this additional super attack for the 4 turns when he transforms, because what happens is if he does do 5 attacks during battle, it can be 5 attacks. So literally at bare minimum you have to wait until like turn 10 still to get the scouter, because again, turn 4 transformation plus you have to be on at least 2 other rotations. But once you do get the scouter off, you basically win. I feel like events usually last around like 10 or more turns anyways. It depends on the event. Like the Red Ribbon Army Red Zones I feel like last a little longer. Like the Cell Max boss event, right? I could see us getting more events like that. Especially if we start getting a lot of more defensive bosses, then I could see fights lasting even longer than they usually do right now. But I mean, these units are meant to be for those longer events. I almost made the 7 attacks just because the theme with Vegito, but I was like, I feel like 5 attacks is better. And once you get this off, you know, you're looking really, really good there. And I feel like there are still a lot of situations where you can get that scouter off and utilize it to its most effect. One other thing I was thinking about for this Gogeta's kit is instead of giving him this additional super attack for 4 turns, give him the scouter for like 3 turns, right? And then what happens is, again, once you perform those 5 attacks, he still gets the scouter back again. But I feel like at that point, it's like, well, You might as well just give him Scouter for the rest of the battle, maybe? I don't know. It'd be weird. Maybe it'd be a little too good based on, like, Dokkan, specifically, like, one unit I was kind of thinking of in mind when designing this Gogeta Blue is the actual STR Carnival Goku. Not on Global yet, but this guy has force the enemy super attacks on the next turn, which character receives the 10th attack in battle. Kind of like that. I made it half the condition because obviously Gogeta Blue would have half the turns essentially to build this up. If we're thinking like, you know, like, because Goku would have 2 extra turns to build this up, right? And I feel like Gogeta would be able to build it up in, like, let's say, I don't know, like in the 10 turns, while Goku probably would have it up in that same time frame, but he has to take, you know, 5 more attacks. It's kind of different because he has to take attacks while Gogeta does attacks, but I feel like it matches Gogeta, and active skills are the same. I feel like they would just make them the same, guaranteed, you know, critical hits. They're still better than super effective, while obviously you don't need the critical hits like that. I still feel like it could be good. Maybe if you really wanted to, you can give this guy some different effect, like, I don't know, maybe let him give Ki to the entire rotation. Like, what if he does give, like, 3 Ki to the entire rotation? Or something like that. I mean, I'm trying to think of what else the Gogeta Blues do, but not really. Just this guy, the EGO one, and there's nothing that the EGO one does that this guy doesn't actually do at the top of my head. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think of my concepts for these guys. Hopefully they do EZA. I am very, very hopeful that both of these guys will be getting their Extreme Z Awakenings during the 8th anniversary, but let me know what y'all think again, and of course I'll catch you in the next Dokkan Battle video. Peace out.